November 12, 2024. The document that lands on our desk isn't a press release. It's not a celebratory announcement from the World Athletics Union about their new player welfare initiative. It's a declassified patent application, number 11,824,305B2, filed by Aegis Dynamics, a defense contractor whose name is more commonly found in congressional hearings on drone warfare and signal intelligence than in the sports pages. The filing describes, in cold, technical language, a subdermal biometric array. Publicly, Aegis's Biokinetic Solutions division has been quietly partnering with the WAU, pitching their new technology as the ultimate tool for injury prevention. The official story, spun by league commissioners and team doctors, is a utopian vision of athletic care, a near-invisible, paper-thin tattoo that monitors hydration, muscle fatigue, and micro-tears in real time, alerting trainers before a catastrophic injury can occur. It's a narrative of safety, of progress, of protecting the league's most valuable assets. It's a lie. The truth is buried in the internal memos we've acquired through encrypted channels, documents that were never meant to see the light of day. Here, the language shifts from welfare to warfare. The athletes are not patients. They are human assets. The technology is not a monitor. It is a tool for performance calibration and predictive control. The array itself is a marvel of clandestine engineering. It's a flexible graphene mesh applied painlessly to the skin via a sonic applicator, where it integrates with the epidermal layer over 72 hours. Powered by the wearer's own bioelectric field, it houses a suite of microsensors that track over 200 distinct biomarkers. This goes far beyond heart rate and oxygen saturation. We're talking about real-time cortisol levels, lactate thresholds, neuroelectrical impulses, and even the precise chemical composition of sweat. It builds a physiological and psychological profile of an athlete that is more intimate and comprehensive than any medical file in existence. Aegis Dynamics doesn't build technology for charity. Their client list is a who's who of the military-industrial complex: NATO, DARPA, the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance. They specialize in human asset optimization for soldiers in hostile environments, using data to predict a combatant's breaking point. The memos make the connection explicit. One senior project manager writes, "The stadium is the new laboratory. The controlled stress environment of elite competition provides a perfect data-rich analog for special operations scenarios." The same sensors designed to tell a commander when a soldier is too fatigued to make a sound tactical decision are now telling a coach when a quarterback is too stressed to read a defensive line. The technology is identical, only the theater of operations has changed. The WAU, desperate for a technological edge and a new revenue stream, signed the deal. They sold it to the players' union as a voluntary, revolutionary safety measure. But what is voluntary when your next multi-million-dollar contract has a clause strongly recommending participation for optimal performance consideration? What is voluntary when non-participants are subtly flagged by insurance carriers affecting their future earnings? Consider the case of star forward Marcus Thorne, just 3 weeks ago. Poised to break the league's single-season scoring record, he was abruptly benched minutes before the championship game. The official reason? The new biometric system flagged a critical risk of cardiac overexertion. The team's medical staff praised the technology for saving Thorne's career, maybe even his life. But our sources inside the team's analytics department tell a different story. Thorne's vitals were stable, well within his established peak performance parameters. The flag was generated by a predictive algorithm, an opaque piece of code which interpreted his heightened pregame stress levels as a precursor to injury. The decision to bench him swung the betting markets by billions of dollars. A rival team, whose primary sponsor is a sovereign wealth fund with deep ties to Aegis's international investors, won the championship. Was it prudent medical intervention, or was it the first calculated test of a new form of market manipulation, executed by an algorithm no one is allowed to question? We've moved past the era of doping scandals and fixed matches. We're in a new paradigm where the very biology of an athlete can be used to control the outcome of a game, all under the unimpeachable guise of safety. The pursuit of victory has become a cover for the greatest biological data harvest in human history. The question is no longer just about who wins the game. It's what happens when the locker room becomes a military-grade data farm and the men and women on the field are no longer just players but living data points in a global experiment whose purpose is far darker than we can imagine.
Following the revelation of the subdermal arrays, the immediate question became, where is the data going? The World Athletics Union assured its players and the public that all biometric information was anonymized and stored on league-owned, military-grade encrypted servers. It was another carefully constructed falsehood. Our investigation, conducted with a team of forensic data analysts, traced the packets. The data stream, a torrent of intimate human code, is indeed encrypted. But it doesn't stop at the WAU servers. It's mirrored. Every nanosecond of data is duplicated and routed through a labyrinthine network of offshore data centers from the Cayman Islands to a nondescript facility in Cyprus, locations chosen for their deliberate and profitable lack of regulatory oversight. The trail ends at a cloud infrastructure managed by a shell corporation named Cygnus Analytics. And this is where the game changes. Cygnus Analytics, on paper, is a boutique data science firm specializing in sports performance metrics. But a deep dive into financial disclosures and leaked incorporation documents, the kind found in the offshore ledger database, paints a very different picture. The funding for Cygnus traces back through a dozen more shell companies to the Pan-Asian Strategic Investment Fund, a state-owned enterprise that the U.S. State Department has identified as a known front for a major geopolitical rival's civilian intelligence apparatus. The data from the world's most elite athletes is being piped directly into the servers of a foreign intelligence service. The question from our first report, whose fingerprints are on this algorithm, now has a chilling answer. The algorithm flagging players like Marcus Thorne wasn't written by Aegis Dynamics. Aegis only built the collection hardware, the needle. The intelligence agency built the syringe. They are the ones processing, analyzing, and ultimately weaponizing this information. This isn't just about winning games anymore. It's about winning the future. This operation is a biological Manhattan Project aimed at decoding and mastering human potential itself. The applications are terrifying in their scope. First, there's the creation of a physiological superiority database. By aggregating the biometric data of thousands of elite athletes under peak stress, they are building predictive models for human performance that are generations ahead of Western sports science. They can identify genetic markers for endurance, stress resilience, and cognitive processing speed, allowing them to scout and develop their own athletes and soldiers with chilling efficiency. Second, it's about vulnerability exploitation on a global scale. The data reveals everything. An athlete's sleep cycle disruptions before a big game, their cortisol spikes during a tense press conference, their subconscious physiological reactions to specific phrases or images. For an intelligence agency, this is a goldmine. Athletes are global celebrities, influencers, and sometimes friends of politicians and business leaders. Their biometric profile provides a roadmap to their psyche, a blueprint for blackmail, manipulation, or recruitment. It turns every high-profile player into a potential pawn, a vector of influence to be leveraged at the opportune moment. Finally, this is a new front in economic warfare. The global sports betting market is worth trillions. With predictive analytics powered by real-time, involuntary biological data, Cygnus Analytics can anticipate performance fluctuations with an accuracy that borders on clairvoyance. They know who is about to hit a slump, who is hiding a minor injury, and who is mentally primed for a career-defining performance. They can use this insider knowledge to destabilize markets, launder money, and generate immense untraceable profits for their state sponsors. The partnership is diabolically simple. Aegis Dynamics gets a real-world live-fire testing ground for its military-grade human monitoring tech, and a foreign power gets the keys to the kingdom of human biology. They are mapping the limits of the human body not to heal it, but to conquer it. This operation has turned the sports field into a geopolitical game board. But as we uncovered the next layer of this conspiracy, we realized the players weren't just being watched. They were being controlled.
With the data trail leading directly into the heart of a rival intelligence agency, the question was no longer if the data was being weaponized, but how. The answer came from a source deep inside the machine, a man who reached out to us through layers of encryption, his voice distorted, his location masked. He is Dr. Aris Thorne, a former lead data scientist at Cygnus Analytics, the very shell corporation processing the athletes' biometric data. What he revealed fundamentally changes our understanding of this technology. It's not just a surveillance tool, it's an instrument of control. Everyone is looking at the data flowing out, Thorne's synthesized voice explained. They're missing the signals flowing back in. The subdermal array is a transceiver. It's a two-way street. He called the system bioresponsive haptic feedback, a benign-sounding term for a terrifying capability. The same graphene mesh that reads the body's signals can also write to it. The mechanism is insidious because it is subtle. It's not crude electrical shocks or direct neural manipulation. Instead, the array emits low-frequency electromagnetic pulses calibrated to influence the wearer's physiology at a granular level. By targeting specific nerve clusters and endocrine pathways, the system can trigger or suppress minute biological responses. It can induce a fractional increase in adrenaline to enhance focus, or a slight release of cortisol to create a sense of anxiety and doubt. It can generate a phantom sensation of muscle fatigue in a sprinter's legs just as they leave the blocks, or trigger a release of endorphins to mask the pain of an injury, pushing an athlete past their natural breaking point. It's the ghost in the machine, a digital puppeteer pulling on biological strings. The athlete would never know. They would simply feel an inexplicable wave of calm, a sudden tremor in their hand, a moment of hesitation, a surge of aggression. They would attribute it to the pressures of the game, to their own mind betraying them, never suspecting that their feelings were being remotely authored. Thorne provided the proof, authenticated data logs from last season's World Athletics Union Championship game. He focused on the final play, where the league's most reliable quarterback, a man famous for his composure under pressure, inexplicably fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line, losing the game. The media called it the biggest choke in sports history. Thorne's logs show a different story. In the 3 seconds before the snap, the quarterback's biometric array received a targeted energy spike, a precisely modulated pulse designed to interfere with fine motor control in the wrist and hand. The fumble wasn't a human error, it was an engineered outcome. This was the system's graduation exercise, and the WAU was complicit. Internal emails provided by Thorne show the league's executives were aware of the active feedback capabilities. Cygnus Analytics and Aegis Dynamics had sold it to them as a form of accelerated recovery therapy, a way to use subtle pulses to stimulate tissue repair. The WAU, in exchange for turning a blind eye to its true purpose, was given a cut of the profits from a newly established data analytics firm, which was, in reality, a front for laundering the winnings from their manipulated sports betting operations. This wasn't sports science. This was a live-fire test of a new form of hybrid warfare, conducted on a global stage and disguised as entertainment. It's the ultimate playbook. Control the player, you control the game. Control the game, you control the multi-trillion-dollar ecosystem around it.
The WAU was just the incubator, a controlled environment to perfect the technology on some of the world's finest human specimens. The experiment is now over. Dr. Thorne's final warning was the most chilling. Aegis Dynamics, satisfied with the results, has already begun marketing the next generation of this technology. Their new target clients aren't sports leagues. They are corporate executives, high-stakes traders, political leaders, and special forces units. The era of the biometric tattoo has ended. The era of the biometric weapon has just begun.